This is Remote Ruby.
Have you any remote idea to the meaning of the word?
Do you remember Remote Ruby?
Is that podcast with those three guys that like fell off?
They just disappeared.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever happened to those guys? They seem cool.
Hell if I know. Just Andrew and I today. So all
You're welcome.
All you Go Rails lovers, Remote Ruby haters are.
God. They're tuning out right now.
Yeah, there's some throwing
our analytics. No,
throwing phones out the window.
Like, oh, guys, these two. You're on RailsConf, right?
Going to RailsConf. I am doing a podcast with Brittany while we're there.
Nice. I see. You hate me.
Yeah. Well, it's not like a Ruby on Rails Remote Ruby podcast per se. It's just like Brittany and I, maybe one other person. We're going to interview some folks. Hopefully I'll have more information on that before RailsConf gets here.
That'll be good. I booked my flight and hotel yesterday.
Okay.
This is a big achievement for me. You can clap. And you know what? And I can tell you this exactly because I have a whole app, but it is exactly 1 month today until RailsConf, I believe.
That's good.
And the fact that I already have my flight and hotel is just wild. So,
are you staying at the conference hotel?
The West Peachin Plaza.
Peachin?
Peachtree.
There we go.
Sorry. I don't know what my brain just saw there. I got my lodging right here. Check in. Oh my God, dude. I'm on it, dude. I'm on it because I was so off of it. You know my struggles.
I know.
With the document that you're required to have to travel around the world.
I've heard about it.
Once I dealt with that, I was like, maybe I can deal with some of this other crap. I'm like, okay, RailsConf booked. This booked. I booked a appointment with a tax accountant on Monday because I'm
how complicated is your tax situation?
And you know what, Jason? I don't care because this year, dude, it's really the fact that I have questions and like I don't know how I'm supposed to be reporting certain things. And I'm just like not interested in the IRS showing up at my doorstep one day. So I'm like, I'm so willing to walk into a building on Monday and walk out with it done and not have to worry about it and not have to be like the last day having to deal with that. So I'm dealing with it.
Our ADHD is so different. It's interesting. Yeah. Like I did my taxes in January.
I have this like long-standing distinction in my brain, at least, because just personal experience. This is not scientific at all. There are people on the ADHD spectrum who fall on a more anxious side, and then there are people who fall on a more depressed side. And the people on the more depressed side are kind of like me, who are very apathetic and really like thrill-seeking, need dopamine because there's no point to anything. And then there's people like you who like deal with stuff, but still have it, which I don't understand. I'm like, I don't want to say envious because I'm not envious of it necessarily, but I'm also like, I wish I had the ability to like, hey, you know that thing that you need to do? You should do it right now because if not, we're going to think about it constantly. Instead of me, where I'm like, I lay in bed at night and I'm like, oh my God, I need to do this. I need to do that. That's when it all comes rushing.
Yeah. Being anxious is...
I'm so anxious. Realize that.
About everything. I had to text Chris last week. Hey man, we good?
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I need to set up like an autoresponder.
If you're friends with me long enough, I will be worried that I've upset you. It's pretty awesome. This is the earliest I've ever done my taxes because I had no like side income to report for once.
See, I think I had 1 month of a paycheck from a different company. And then I have crypto. I have apparently enough crypto that has to be reported. And I made a certain amount on GitHub sponsors and I made a certain amount doing this. And I just don't understand it. And dude, and I'm truly, and I know this, if I wanted to understand it, I could be an expert in it, but I don't want to. So I'm just going to pay an expert to deal with this crap for me because I just don't want to deal with it right now.
Anyway, it's good to be back.
Yes. We're talking about RailsConf.
Yeah, RailsConf. It'll be fun. I'm excited to see people. I am a little, since we're talking about anxious, I don't know, really socially anxious. Ever since I had my surgery in January.
I will be socially anxious with you.
Hell yeah. We can go to the Peachin.
Dude, Peachin, man.
Whatever you called it.
Peachin, man. Peachtree. That sounds like a familiar name.
Peachtree.
Have we ever stayed at Peachtree?
I think I've actually stayed at this hotel before.
Really? See, I want to be at your level one day.
I don't know what that means. It's not like I've stayed in a lot of hotels. I just happen to have stayed at this one before.
I don't know. You just come off well-traveled. Like you've had
I'll take
cool adventures and experiences.
I'll take it.
Yeah. And you spoke at Phoenix RailsConf back in the day, right?
Back in the day, 2017. Yeah.
Yeah. Back in before 4 times. That wasn't long ago at all.
This is, what is it, 2023? Yeah. So my first RailsConf was Atlanta. Yeah. It's full circle year.
Yeah.
We're sans Chris today for those of 3 people still listening.
What's up, players? Y'all the real ones. For real.
It's just going to get weirder from here.
Yeah.
Andrew is, I don't know what that term is, but pinching his shirt, popping it at me.
Trying to hype myself up.
It's a full stack developer shirt with a stack of pancakes and binary.
By Hashnode.
That's cool.
Yeah, shout out to them.
Do they sponsor the show?
They sponsored what I'm wearing, I guess.
That was a hash no. Is what
hash no. Hashtag no.
Hash no.
If they want to sponsor, I mean, call me, bro.
I don't even know what Hashnode is. I just heard the name.
Hashnode is a developer blogging platform, kind of like Dev2. This is my understanding. This might be a little off. I'm not a representative of the company. They don't pay me in any way. They just send me a free t-shirt. But I have read a lot of blogs on Hashnode. There are some good Rails devs out there blogging on Hashnode, but it kind of gives you like your own little site. So it's almost like a little like multi-tenant Dev2, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah, multi-tenancy is cool.
Any cool Ruby stuff you want to talk about on remote Ruby?
I've been doing a lot of scripting recently.
Tell me more.
I wanted to have fun.
Talk a lot about that.
Well, actually, before I go there, there's a recent PR into Ruby gems. Do you know what NPX is?
Yes.
So I am going to explain what NPX is for the listeners who don't know.
You know what? I don't know what NPX is, Andrew. Why don't you tell me?
Well, I do, because while you were stalling, I was able to look it up. NPX allows you to execute NPM package binaries without necessarily having to download the entire lobby. I think it still downloads it, but whatever. It allows you to execute NPM package binaries. And if you think about what in Ruby, there is an executable binary package, the file that goes in the .exe folder, but it does not work the same way as NPX, where I can just run the executable without gem installing it first. So right. Ruby gems just had a PR, and they added this functionality that is very akin to what NPX is doing, not necessarily one-to-one. It's like their own implementation. And when I saw that PR, I was like, light bulb. Way back in the day, I say way back in the day, it was not that long ago. One of the early gems I created was a gem that output like a business card-ish to the terminal. And it was literally just my moniker. So like the gem install Andrew M codes. And it's way out of date. And I used all these libraries and dependencies to like make the text look cool and have it formatted a certain way, using all the TTY libraries, which shout out, those are great. But now, number one, some of the data is out of date, which is one thing. But 2, whenever I go back and look at that gem, it really bothers me as now a senior that when I install the gem, it installs like all these freaking dependencies in order to like present the text. And so as soon as I saw this new feature come out in Ruby gems, I was like, that's exactly what I could use. I could go rewrite this gem. I could get rid of all the dependencies, rewrite it a certain way, and then take advantage of this new executable format so that it is just like the people who are doing this in the Node community, where like you could gem Andrew M codes and it prints out my business card. Super cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, I feel like it's a really fun, low level way to like get people to like publish a gem that is like, oh, I do have a gem actually. Hey, I hand you my resume. I'm like, yeah, if you want my business card, just run gem Andrew M codes on Ruby gems. That's pretty cool.
The MPX stuff is cool. I've used it with Prettier. And
I do. Yeah, I do too.
A couple other things. I don't know how it works. Like, I don't remember if I have Prettier installed globally.
No, it will install it. I don't think it does like a full install. See, that's the one part I don't really understand about it. Because like the point of NPX is that I can run NPX Tailwind and not have a node modules folder. So it won't create a node modules folder. So I guess in that it has to install it globally. And yeah, I don't really understand that part of it, to be honest.
It's a low friction way to do stuff. And that is...
It is. It's very
awesome.
nice. because you can run esbuild with NPX. So like technically we could turn our entire code base to like only use NPX.
Terrifying.
We have too many things that would make that not worth it. But think if we just had esbuild and like that's our only node dependency. Right. Like we have esbuild to build some stuff. Then like using NPX or Tailwind. I think the Rails Tailwind guys use NPX, don't they?
That sounds right.
I'm pretty sure because that's how you would run the Tailwind build command from the command line without having a node modules folder.
It's also how I've done, I think, I could be totally wrong, but I'm pretty sure that you can do like NPX, Tailwind, and knit or install. Yes, and that's what now generates the Tailwind config file.
Yep. That's
the NPX command.
Perfectly. Yeah.
That's cool.
I really think that functionality is cool. I just never really thought about how that could be beneficial in Ruby until I saw it. And now I'm like, well, you know how you have to install standard to get your VS Code to like format correctly with standard? Well, technically, it kind of sounds like maybe there is a world where you may not have to do that because instead of gem install standard and then running standard, you could run using the executable if they were to provide one. This is a theoretical.
Interesting. Have we talked about standards VS Code extension on the podcast?
No, because I've just been using the thing that's built into the main Ruby plugin for years and everyone says it doesn't work, which works fine. So I don't understand. So I've never needed to try another one. I noticed it needed a different version that we didn't have at Pody at the time, but we do now. It's
worked fine the other way for me. Like I've used standard, like the integration with the Ruby package, but the standard VS Code extension is blazingly fast, surprisingly fast, especially for being a project on Ruby.
Whoa, dude. What are you trying to say, bro?
Yikes.
What the hell, man? I want everyone to know that I do not stand by Jason Charnes' comments today on the podcast about Ruby speed. Thank you. That is all.
No, it's really impressive.
I can check it out.
We should try to get Justin Searles back on and talk about it.
I am always down to talk to Justin.
Our coworker Mario was telling me he's been watching Justin's After Dark videos.
I saw those, yeah.
I haven't watched them, but he said they were awesome.
I haven't watched them either, but I put one in Ruby Radar as like a reminder for me to like watch it.
Is that what Ruby Radar is? Just like your personal to-do list of stuff to go watch and read later?
No comment. I have a partner, so it's not just me. But
it's true. How is Colin?
Good.
I haven't talked to Colin in a while.
I talk to Colin every week. Usually on Wednesdays, but now we changed it. And dude, this was like great for him to accommodate this, but just big brain for me. Because I'm like, you know how we have a meeting on Monday morning?
I do know that.
How productive are you before that meeting?
I have a 1-to-1 with Jamie before. And before that, I usually get nothing done.
So I do this thing, which I'm pretty sure is very common for ADHD people because every ADHD person I know has said this, they feel this, where I have a meeting in like 3 hours. What's the point in me starting anything? I'm not going to be able to get far enough, which is just dumb, right? But it's my brain. So Colin and I's one-on-one used to be on Wednesday evenings, and now it's Monday morning at 6 a.m. my time.
Look at y'all, and you're kickstarting your week.
And that's like 2 or 3 hours before our meeting. So I will have to have already been up at my desk, sitting down 2 hours before the meeting. Dude, got to get it somehow.
There was a link to, I guess, Schwad is taking the shoes project from Y and relighting the torch, I guess you could say, which is fitting. We're about to go to Atlanta. The 96 Olympics were held there.
It's when I was born.
Yes, it was. Just barely a millennial.
But a millennial nonetheless.
So if you're not familiar, Shoes was a GUI, graphic user interface library for Ruby built by Y, the Lucky Stiff. And like it's had some other people work on it throughout the years. But I looked at it as recently as like a few weeks ago. And I want to say it's on version 2. I don't know. I may just be making up numbers. And like there was like a roadmap for the next version, but that was like a few years ago. So it's cool that he's wanting to kind of bring that back. What I don't know, I was reading and it looks like they're using WebView. I don't think that's what was being used in Shoes. So like maybe, I don't know.
It's a WebView.
A fantastic question.
Okay, good. I was like, is this like some word that I'm supposed to know?
I have what I think is an understanding of it.
Okay.
Because I've been trying to learn in my like hardware adventures about like building my own graphical user interfaces.
Well, here, if you know what it is, tweet me on Twitter, message me on Discord, and explain it to me. Shoes, cool.
Yeah,
Schwad's a cool guy.
I like Schwad.
I wish I
also
was cool like Schwad.
Same. That swagger.
Dude, that's Schwaderer.
Schwaderer. Best one yet.
Hey.
But yeah, that's exciting. I mean, keep an eye on that. There was also a talk at RubyConf that is online now that was about building GUIs in Ruby. I watched part of it. I didn't finish it. The problem I have with trying to build user interfaces in Ruby is that I want to try and do it for like embedded stuff. And so it's better for me if it's something that it can be like compiled to, not something that's just like a Ruby script that's like interpreted and run. I talked about it, but I've been looking a lot more at DragonRuby.
You did mention that.
I don't know that it's the right fit for what I'm trying to do, but I did build a game in it. The dumbest game.
Still, dude. Game developer. Hey,
on the resume.
I went to a talk from Lori
Olson?
Yes. I went to her workshop at RubyConf, I believe, long before the dark ages. So it must have been like 2019 or something, 2018 maybe. That was awesome. She blew my mind. I was like, holy crap. She just made a game.
Was it about DragonRuby?
Yeah. And it was right after the name change. And then I had also done a podcast when I was on Rogues with either her or Amir. But it was always this really cool thing to me.
It's awesome. So it's not necessarily like what I'm trying to do, but it does have me also now wanting to like build a game with it.
Free side adventure, side quest here. Would you like to accept the NPCs challenge?
It's really cool. And if you watch, I'll put it this way, I find Amir intoxicating.
He's got cool crap going on.
And can sell the hell out of DragonRuby. Had a talk at RubyConf that's online, watched it and made me think like, oh yeah, every other programming language or game thing is garbage. Just has such a way of presenting it. It's very cool. I had fun. It's weird thinking about an application in terms of ticks, 60 ticks per second. Right. But it's a very fun, interesting way to think about things.
There's no way I'd ever be able to find the tweet, but Amir, in my brain, when I think about the coolest top Ruby devs, he's right there behind Matt's for me. Because, and I don't remember what it was, but one time he made this tweet of something in Ruby. And I just remember it blew my freaking mind. Like I didn't understand it. It was insanely fast. He was like rendering something with Ruby. And I was like, holy crap, you can do that. And it was just insane to me. So like he's got that going on. So definitely if you're interested in like cool, crazy Ruby, that's not the average everyday Rails app. That's some cool stuff. Yeah,
because DragonRuby is built on top of mRuby, which we've talked about sparingly and probably just created more confusion about than existed before. But it's really cool. It's Ruby, but it's kind of like a flavor of Ruby in a way. DragonRuby is. There's a thing where you store the state and args, which is just always passed to the tick method. And if you store something in a hash, you can access it like using dot syntax, which I was like, this feels good. I like this.
Yeah, we need more of that, please. That comes out of the box and Bridgetown. I'm like, I don't know if I could live without it.
It's cool. At the same time, I guess it is more indirection in Ruby, but it's fine. It's fine. I like it.
Yeah, it's fun. And like sometimes I need a break from building forms.
That's the thing. We talked about that a couple episodes ago when I was talking about like getting into hardware and stuff. Like I like what I do. I'm scared if I keep just only doing web development, not just during the day, but like at night too, I'm not going to like doing it in a while.
Burnout. I was accused of burnout this week, even though 2 or 3 weeks ago, I claimed that I was feeling like I was close to it, which was a moment of self-reflection. And then the other day I had a meeting and someone was like, you need to take a break or something. You seem to be burning out and we don't want that. So stop.
Yeah.
Go home. Chill out. Stop freaking out. And it's true. The last time I burnt out, it was like, ever since I was in like middle school, I wanted to be a programmer and I loved programming. And then I burned out. And all of a sudden, the only thing I'd ever truly been passionate about was something I never wanted to do again. And I don't want to go back there. Yeah. So that's why I want to have fun scripting Ruby and building games like this. Because when I do that stuff, it's like, holy crap, I love being a programmer.
Hi, my name is Andrew Mason, and I'd like to tell you about Honey Badger. Whether US East 1 is down or you forget to add a configuration file, everyone has an outage from time to time. When your next outage occurs, transparency is critical. The difference between a minor annoyance that people soon forget and a fiasco that creates sustained resentment is how you communicate. That's why you need Honeybadger. Honeybadger is a crucial component of your incident response plan with their uptime monitoring service that now has an exciting new feature, public status pages. Create a new status page with custom domains, branding, and more. Don't let Twitter be the only way your users can find out if your app's down. Sign up for Honeybadger to improve your incident response with a shiny new status page that you'll be proud to show users. Visit honeybadger.io and start giving your users a better experience today. Let them know that Remote Ruby and specifically Andrew Mason sent you.
I've been trying to learn Rust, and I built a little command line game in Rust. And I'm also trying to learn hardware stuff. And at the same time, think maybe I should not try and combine those two things, but maybe use something like Python, because there's a lot of like hardware stuff,
Right.
like Python.
The turtles.
There's MicroPython, there's CircuitPython. There's all these like flavors of Python that are like really well supported for these like hacking on hardware projects. So
I could totally write Python if I needed to like not write Ruby.
I like it. I wish there was better support for doing that kind of stuff in Ruby, and I understand why there's not. I want to use mRuby. I feel like I'm not at a level right now where I can comprehend how to use mRuby without some resource, and there's not a lot of resources.
I built a widget on my iPhone using that Rubyist app that I've mentioned several times throughout the years. That's in mRuby, as I've said before, but I built a widget and it pulls my latest starred repo from GitHub, because I star a lot of repos on GitHub and then I forget I star them. So it shows on my home screen the latest starred repo from GitHub that I've starred.
I stopped listening because when you said star repo, I heard scar tissue, and then I started singing the Chili Pepper song, and then I heard starred repos that I wish you saw, because you said you star repos and you forget about them.
Mm-hmm.
So I am working on a whole album now of Red Hot Chili Pepper programming satire.
Let me know when the coloring book's out. That sounds like a children's book, like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, whatever you said. Anyway, mRuby is cool. I'm more interested in that. But I was doing a little AI stuff. It's got me.
Oh, no.
Oh, dude, it's
we've lost you.
You actually have. I've gotten lost in the sauce a little bit.
Have you used the OpenAI API?
I'm all in that AI, dude. I'm like,
is there a Ruby?
There is a gem. I've got a shortcut on my phone
used it.
that will hit the API. Like I can hit a button on my phone and boop. I've been playing with that API because I've got ideas, bro. Got big ideas. When the whole NFT, crypto, Web3, like I guess I technically worked for a Web3 company for a little bit, but like I was never like, I was like, this is whatever. I could see why it wasn't going to catch on for everyone. And therefore I was like, this is the first thing I've ever been like, I could totally like, I'm not going to do this by the way, but this is the first technology I've ever been like, I could totally quit my job and create a profitable business probably with this right now.
You could create a profitable business before quitting your job.
Yes. That's more of like my way of saying like, that's how big in my brain I think this is.
Because it's Web 4.
It's not Web. I mean, because Jack Dorsey's got like Web 7 or whatever. So Web 8's just like got to be here soon, right? I'm working on Web 9.
It's one big web.
Yeah. It's all one. It's a Spider-Man web, really. Last night, I've been learning to try to teach it on my own data set because I'm going to try to feed it certain things. And one of those things is like the Ruby documentation and the Rails docs. What if I had a little CLI app that I write that is specifically trained only on like Rails and Ruby? I forgot something really random and mundane the other day. And I'm like, and for some reason my Dash doc set was out of date or something. So I couldn't use that. I'm like, I got to go on freaking API doc or whatever. I was in my terminal when I had this question. Why couldn't I just ask my terminal? Well, I guess I could now because of Warp's new AI integration, the brand new one they just added. But still, I was like, what if I could just ask Ruby? That's my whole thing now. Is like, what if I could ask this thing a question?
Interesting.
Now I can ask like articles questions now in my like feed reader, and I can ask things I write questions in Craft or Obsidian. I'm like, what if I could ask something that I've built that knows everything about me, like has all my messages, that has all my calendar invites, that has all my like PRs, that has all my notes. And I'm like, what did I do last week? And it just tells me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There was a thing I saw. I'm trying to find it. Somebody launched something I saw on Twitter that was some kind of Rails, Ask Rails An OpenAI powered chat here to help you with all things Ruby on Rails. Anyway, saw that.
That's cool.
Interested by it.
When are we going to create Podia AI?
Oh,
I keep just kind of messaging out randomly and sliding like, hey, by the way, I'm really interested in this AI stuff. So like one day, if ever Podia AI becomes a thing, they'll think of me.
you'll be ready to go.
I'll be ready, dude. I could think of so many things for Podia for this, but we're not going to talk about that because that could be a private IP that I just come up with right here. Hip, yeah, that installer.
Private IP.
Don't want to pip install anything right now.
Dude, nice Python joke.
Thank you, too.
It's the most we've ever talked about Python on
Hey.
Remote Ruby. Talked about PHP a lot.
Python, I was always good at Python because I learned Java first. I was like, oh, objects make a lot more sense when it's implicit.
My journey was Visual Basic first,
Same, brother. Let's go.
then Java, then Python, then back to Java.
Same. Literally.
College is a hell of a ride.
Visual Basic in high school, Java in high school, Python freshman year of college, Java for the next 2 years, and then PHP, and then like some other random crap in there and like some C# and crap. But yeah, Python's cool, dude. I like Python. I'm not a Python hater by any means.
It's fine.
It's not Ruby.
No, what
but
it is.
It feels close.
It
like
feels
enough
close.
that like it feels close enough that I could easily be like, yeah, like I'll write Python. That's fine. I would probably write Python before PHP, for being honest.
Okay. It's fine. It's fine.
He's so triggered right now for everyone who
There's
can't
just
see.
a lot of cool
There's like a vein in his neck. It's like bulging. Like I'm actually scared right now. He's gonna like reach to the computer and grab me.
Yeah, you know me.
Rage monster.
You know me, Mr. Worried about upsetting everyone, ready to fight Andrew.
And it wouldn't upset everyone if you won.
I have posterized you before.
It's true. That was very traumatic. I think about that day often.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that happens in Python, especially around, machine learning.
Yeah, stats, all that like statistical computing.
There's a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff I think they're trying to do with like Elixir too.
Yeah. I guess I could write Elixir. I was supposed to write Elixir one time. I had like 4 or 5 books of Elixir delivered to me, and I was like, hey, you might be working on Elixir, so learn Elixir. Then I didn't, but I was like, it's interesting.
There's a lot of cool projects in Elixir around stuff like that. I think it's Livebook. I don't remember what it's called in Python.
The Python Jupyter things?
Yeah, Jupyter. Yeah.
Your labs or whatever. Those are
like
so
notebooks.
Cool. Yeah,
Programming notebooks.
Those are so cool.
Yeah, they have that in Elixir and it's cool. And they have this Nerves project. Are you familiar with that?
No.
So it's a hardware project and you flash like a Raspberry Pi or a BeagleBone like I have, and you flash the device. You can even flash it with a instance of Livebook. So you can basically do all this stuff in real time with a hardware device. There's been like a couple of case studies about people building like hardware businesses off of it. I don't know. It's cool, the stuff that Elixir and Python are doing like outside of web development. I feel like Ruby has a lot of use cases outside of web development, but it's still like the big
space.
In space. But I just feel like
doubt it's on a website.
Yeah, it feels like the web is so dominant when it comes to Ruby. That's why things like DragonRuby are exciting. And like, I feel like all the work at Shopify, we've had so many people from Shopify on talking about the cool stuff they're working on. That kind of stuff, like it feels like it's helping push Ruby forward. I don't know. I want to see more of it because I really like Ruby. And I just want to understand how the hell to use mRuby. That's all I want to know.
I bet you could. You wanted to.
I've used it, but I don't know how to like...
where to put it, like what you can do with it, really. I think that's kind of where I'm at with it too. It's okay, now I have this power, but like, how do I use this power? I think it's kind of one of those things though that like one day you find like, oh, this is when I use the power. With mRuby, like on the phone, like I can write Ruby on my phone. That's the power.
No, you're right, because one of mRuby's qualities is that you can embed it into a C application. And so I assume that's probably how it's running, is it's probably actually like for iOS, it's probably a C application. That's cool. I want to know how to use on like a hardware level. And there's also another library. Have you heard of PicoRuby? Have we talked about this?
Yes, I have heard of that. I don't know if we talked about it. I've definitely heard about it.
It won some grant money or award or something like that. I think it's built again on top of like mRuby itself. It's about putting it on, Raspberry Pi Pico or another ARM Cortex processor. I don't know. I want to know how to do this stuff better. And I'm trying to learn, but I'd love to use Ruby for that stuff because I love Ruby.
Yeah. Now you got me thinking about, what if I put Ruby into like a remote controller?
Exactly. That's what I want to do. I have this board I ordered that I wanted to learn how to do some Rust stuff on. And I'm like, yeah, this is cool. Rust is really good for this. It'd be really cool.
Yeah.
If they can use Python for this, why can't I use Ruby?
Yeah.
There's microRuby or circuit Ruby.
Yeah. Okay. I was writing some Alfred workflows and you can write them in Ruby. And I was like, what if I could like bundle Ruby into the plugin? Because one of the issues they've actually kind of solved, I think to a degree in Alfred, that with the new version where they will actually try to resolve dependencies for you in plugins. That was a problem where like you might need PHP or you might need Python. And granted, they all come installed on your system, path and all the random crap and stuff like that. So I was like, I wonder if I could literally bundle up the Ruby inside of it so that it doesn't even need it. It could use Ruby 3 and no one would have to install it. That was something that popped in my brain, but I don't know if I could use it for that.
You could use mRuby.
No, I'm talking about mRuby. Yeah. Like, could I bundle mRuby directly into the package?
Like just for your script?
Yeah. It's just a little script. Whatever the script is, like it could be moving files. It could be hitting an API and like returning a list that I could then do something with. The script isn't big. But
I don't see why not.
I don't see why not either. And it was kind of one of those things where I'm like, hey, I wonder if I can use mRuby here.
Okay, we've identified a lot of people we need to have on, but we need to get someone on who knows mRuby to talk to us.
Very interested in this. And if you are too, we might as well ride out this interest together.
I'm going to tweet right now while we record this episode.
Oh no, now they know. Moving on. Anyway, now that I've booked everything for RailsConf, that's kind of what I'm thinking about. This is like RailsConf, and I realized that like Ruby Central emailed me and I never saw the email, but when I went through my emails and sorted everything, I found it. They actually asked me to apply to be a guide and I didn't. And I mean, I might one day, but I don't think I ever will. It's not really that I wouldn't want to do it. It's more like the commitment of it to me because I like to disappear. Like that's kind of my thing. I like sometimes like I'm there and then sometimes I'm just freaking gone and like you have no idea. No one will ever know where I am. And I need that ability. And I would feel a lot of obligation, not necessarily that they are putting on it, but just like internally of like, I always need to be with this person.
You want to do a good job.
Yeah, I want to do right by that person. Like that would be important to me. This is where the real problem occurs. It's like, I think about dinners when you're trying to grab everyone, find people. Oh, do you have a spot? But then I'm like, okay, but I need to bring this like I've had to do that before where I'm like, oh yeah, but I need to bring this person with me. And then it just becomes this like whole anxiety inducing thing where I'm like, I'm having to deal with this stuff and I'm like having to manage things and I don't want to. I want to have fun. So sorry, Ruby Central. I did not read or submit that, but I really applaud the people who do. I know people who are doing it. I think someone I know is doing it. I don't want to say the wrong name, but if you're being a guide at RubyConf, I guess all this to say while Jason's tweeting, shout out to you because there are those of us who would like to do it, but can't because their brain's messed up. So shout out to you because I think it's really important. And I've met like a lot of people through guides. Like Colin was a guide for Roman. That's how I first met Roman. And then I've seen him at every freaking conference ever since. So he was like a great person to meet. I might not have met him had Colin not been his guide and then introduced him to me. And Julie had a guide at RailsConf where I met her and she says nothing but great things about that experience. So for me, I would 100% do it if it was like the obligation ended after like the conference is over at the end of the day. And it's like, then you go your separate ways. But it's like, I don't know. The rest
never stops.
Yeah. See, and I have commitment issues really.
That I've never been surprised less statement. So
great. Sweet. Cool. I've been saying a lot during this podcast. I noticed that.
Well, Paul uses a technology to pull the ums out.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
What I hope happens is when the edit comes through, it says, I've been saying a lot on this podcast.
What did he say? What words did you speak?
I've been saying a lot during this podcast. I noticed that. Now, that would be funny. Been watching a speech professor or something on YouTube. It's one of my recent rabbit holes.
Oh my gosh, my rabbit hole this morning was I ended up back on Khan Academy, which I haven't been in since college,
Nice.
wanting to fill a bunch of gaps I have in mathematics.
I was doing that with stats,
Okay.
not on the same website, but like almost to the point where I'd like considered enrolling in a college class, like at ASU to like retake stats because I took stats. I don't remember a damn thing from stats. I remember the P90, that stuff. I remember the curve, but like none of the math and the freaking calculus and the extra calculus that I took has helped me a single bit. But that stats class that I didn't pay attention for and like glided through, I really regret not taking that more seriously because the day before I was building all this data, like I was collecting metrics and trying to performance test something and measure the variance and like prove something to stakeholders that like, hey, these are the dangers of this and this is the upside, blah, 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 blah. You were there. You saw it. It was beautiful. But I was looking at like the data that I collected and I was like, see, this is the problem. I don't know exactly what to do with this now. I feel like there are charts I could build to like visualize this data, but I don't know what the right charts are. I don't know how to do that. I mean, I know how to make a chart. It's more like the in-between part of like, oh, I have this data, therefore it would be best represented this way, or I can now extrapolate these results from this data. And I feel like if I had the ability to do that, it would come in handy. And I've needed to do that several times, not been able to do it as well as I would like to.
Yeah, I just don't understand math at all.
I mean, math is stupid.
I had permits for all my programming classes, and finally they were like, we can't keep doing this. Like, you're going to have to get out of college algebra in order to like continue on the CS path.
Yeah, that was me with chemistry. My major had like a focus, and one of the focuses was accredited through like some computing organization, whatever. And that's what I was supposed to be in. And close to like junior, senior year, I switched it because Batman himself could not have convinced me that I needed to take chemistry. Chemistry was the hardest courses at that college. Chemistry, biology, and physics. I didn't take physics in high school, and I was really bad at bio and chem in high school because it's like, it's memorization. I'm like, this isn't helping me. So Batman himself could not have convinced me to like care about chemistry. So I knew I wasn't going to do well in the classes and it was just going to be awful. So I just took digital art instead. And that ended up changing my entire career and helping me become a Rails dev. So
That's cool.
FU chemistry.
If you took the initials of FU chemistry, pronounce it, it would come out the same.
Yeah.
It's kind of a big Friday realization for me here.
Brain blown. All right.
All right.
The car's running out of gas.
I don't want to say that Chris would be proud,
No, I don't want to say that at all.
but I think Chris probably doesn't hate us.
He would respect the effort.
Do you think Chris even listens to this?
Hell no. Only I do.
That's true.
I'm the only remote Ruby listener. That's why we have so many downloads, because I just play it on repeat all day long.
On every
Like,
different device.
Yeah. All my devices. I got iHomes. I got HomePods. I got
Overcast app.
Yeah. I've got all
Spotify.
these. It's running in the background on every app that you can download to play podcasts. And I've got every podcast app imaginable on my all the computers, the TV. Like I go to Radio Shack. I don't even think that's a thing anymore. I go to Radio Shack and I just like type it into all the computers, Best Buy, and then I go hit Walmart, Target. I'm a menace, dude.
My Radio Shack years, I don't remember them having computers.
I don't think they either. That was just the first thing that popped in my head of like a store that sells electronics.
My favorite store was CompUSA.
Never
Did you ever
been.
have one of those?
I grew up in small town South in America, bro. Ain't had nothing. I got Walmart.
Awesome.
That's where we go have fun.
I went to Walmart. It was when I was with you. It was like the first time I had stepped in Walmart in 3 years.
Oh, yeah.
When we bought this shirt.
Hey, oh, came full circle, dude. See, now Chris is
circle.
proud. Now he's proud because that was when we went to see Chris.
All right. See ya.
Bye.